Hello, everybody. This is my first live YouTube video. I was going to write a blog about this, but who's reading blogs, right? Everyone wants to listen or just tune in. My name is Saundra Hadley. I live in Evansville, Indiana. That is at the southern tip of Indiana, which means we're like 30 minutes to Kentucky, 30 minutes to Illinois. And I own Planning Forever Events. I've owned this sweet little event planning business for 17 years. And I have gone through quite a bit of things. I've had two weddings 2 days after my father passed away. I have gone and lived through the recession. I have gone ups and downs of trying to travel and workload and family, just like everybody else. And now I have an event planning business during a pandemic, which all of you are in the same boat, right? We've never been through this before. My mom has never had this happen before. Nobody has. So we're kind of all in this together, and it's a little overwhelming. So I thought I would do a quick video. And just honestly, I have no notes, just off the cuff, trying to give you maybe a couple pieces of advice, some tips if you're trying to plan your wedding in 2020 and you're trying to plan around this whole pandemic situation. Um, okay, and really the reason I'm doing this right now is because I had to be on TV this morning. We Skyped. I'm on TV every week or month with local ABC station. I've done it since 2006. So I'm used to being like live or whatever. But so I had makeup on and my hair was a little bit curly. So I thought I'd go for it. Anyway, all right. So let's say that you have had a wedding. You're going to have your wedding in March or in April. You've already probably postponed it. I did not have any weddings, but I did have a huge corporate event, which is a home show with 150 vendors, talent from HGTV and other TV stations or national TV shows that we hired to come in and speak. It was quite a feat. It took us 72 hours to replan, postpone the event till later this year. That was the longest 72 hours of my life because there was a lot of moving parts to it. But weddings are just as much because there's so much personal involvement. There's personal money involved. There's anxiety and excitement and emotion and so forth. So I do not have to move any weddings. Most of my weddings are at the end of this year anyway. And in southern Indiana, I'm not sure where you are looking at this from. In southern Indiana, September and October are our busiest months. It's not that we don't have weddings in May, lots of weddings in May, June, July, whatever, but the weather gets really good here. And so everybody who's planning that beautiful outdoor wedding under trees, or sometimes it's in a barn, or even if it's at church, they get a lot of photos. That's our favorite time. It's the months that get booked. Like last October 12th, I could have had 5 weddings that one weekend, but I had to turn them away because I had a total planning design wedding and that took precedence. So anyway, so if you've already postponed your wedding, then you're a step ahead. You probably have already gone through quite a bit of emotion in regards to it. And if you are planning a wedding in May, you may not have pulled the trigger yet, although I feel very strongly that you're going to have to, especially if it's at a venue, that you're going to have to go ahead and just move that, because I just don't see a lot of people that close to everything that's going on being able to convene. Right now we're still our state is under no meetings over 50 people. And actually the governor spoke yesterday and asked everyone to continue to self-quarantine until April 6th. So, it's killing our economy, but it is what it is. I mean, we won't have business if we're not alive to enjoy it. So, and we'll talk about that a little bit, all the media and the coverage and the panic. Anyway, back to the wedding situation. So if you are in May, I would start definitely. You probably already taken some steps. The real caveat will be the June, July, August weddings. I think it's too early to plan it, but I do want to give you a little bit of a heads up of what people across the board could be looking at, no matter what state you're in trying to move your wedding. If everyone's choosing the same quarter of the year uh, to third or fourth quarter to try to move into that. What we're going to find here, even locally, is that we don't really have enough venues to be able to offer enough Saturdays. There's only so many Saturdays a month, right? And the venue's booked already, it's booked. So what we're going to look at is people are going to be trying to book on Friday or a Sunday wedding, which is a viable option. I think I would prefer a Friday wedding versus a Sunday wedding. I've done Sunday weddings. Haven't been too thrilled with them, mostly because if you are going to have a Sunday, you're going to have to really reduce everything that you're doing. Because what I find is you'll have the attendance for the ceremony, everyone will stay for dinner, and once you have dessert, I don't care what kind of music you have going on, people are going to go home because they have to go to work the next day. So anyway, back to the venues. Some of these venues don't have the staff to be able to flip these rooms. That means change everything over from Friday to the next Saturday event and so forth. So we're going to have to see a problem. We locally have, I think, in the 100-mile radius, 3 major rental companies. When I say major, I mean like real stuff, like chairs and dishes and so forth. There are other rental companies that have chairs and other eclectic types of things, but some of those businesses are going to get really inundated. And don't forget, there's not just weddings. These rental companies also serve nonprofit events. So there's lots of nonprofit events. We have wine on the Ohio River. It's a huge event with tents and chairs and tables and everything. So they want to still do that, but they want to move it into the same time frame that everybody wants to move their special wedding celebration. And so that's going to be challenging. So I would definitely go ahead, and the earlier that you can actually make your decision to pull the plug, not pull the plug, rip the Band-Aid off and postpone your wedding, please do not cancel, then the better off that you're going to be, and try to get that date and notify as many of the vendors as possible. Of course, it is a juggling act as well, that if your photographer doesn't already have a wedding booked that day, but that's pretty obvious. I wanted to give you some tips of the things that maybe you weren't really thinking about with all of the logistics. Um, if your wedding is towards the end of the year and you, like most of my clients, and you have not finished um, getting all of your event professionals contracted, I think that you should continue to vet them and narrow down your choices, and potentially wait till maybe some of this blows over. In some instances, you'll feel if it's right to pull the trigger to actually sign a contract and send in a deposit. I think event professionals here locally and across the board, where we are cautiously optimistic. Obviously, we don't want to close our doors. We're going to still forge through, look for any type of, some will be able to get government support, some may not be able to, but it's going to be really very interesting for businesses. Locally, I polled about 20 people, so that's not indicative of the entire area. I polled what revenue that they lost from the middle of March to the end of April, and it was $736,000 of canceled events, and in some instances just lost revenue for public. If you are a event professional that offers not only just events, but you offer things to the public. It was across the board. I'm not going to name anybody or anything like that. I promised them I wouldn't, but there was transportation, a photographer, and florists, and venues, and catering, and the whole Mod Podge of different people. So that's a significant loss. We're going to want to make that up as fast as possible. So while you are still continuing to go out and patronize restaurants, which thank you for doing that. Also remember us when you're planning your wedding, to not cancel, but instead to postpone, and to have that money set aside so you can still have your celebration. I feel like some celebrations may be reduced due to clients either having to use that money for other things, or maybe potentially there's job loss involved and so forth. So just, they're asking us to do that social distancing. So let's do it, get this over with so we can move on and live our lives, and get back the economy, because it was really, really pretty strong before this. So anyway, back to planning weddings. Let's see, I've gone over what you could be looking at. There's lots of different options people are doing. Some are doing some micro weddings, which is typically things that it's typically something that means you get married with just a few people and then you have a big celebration like the party. Um, Destination weddings in Florida, I have a planner friend out there, does a lot of those. We don't here locally. We're very family oriented and community oriented in the Midwest. So we want to invite people, our friends and people that we work with and extended families. So, but that is that option. There's options for live streaming for maybe some of your family members that's super important to you, but they cannot make it. Not that they got the coronavirus, but maybe they're elderly or their immune systems are compromised. I think in general, sans the pandemic, that's a fantastic idea to record your ceremony or even live stream it if it's a possibility at your venue. I mean, why not? This is 2020, right? So we have all of that. I think one of the last things couple things I want to leave you with is in life and how I approach life, I always go worst case scenario and work my way back. Because if I can live with it, it's not being pessimistic, in my opinion. It's me knowing all of my options. I'm an option oriented type of person. And so if you work your way back from there and you sit down with your significant other and your partner and you say, listen, I ask all my clients to do this. You make a top three most important things. There's no wrong answers. You make a top three most important things, and then you merge that list together. And whatever comes out of that is what could happen. I talked to a client yesterday. She was having some anxiety and she was upset. She goes, my dress came in and I look at it and I want to cry. I don't know if I'm going to have my wedding. And it's at the end of the year. And I asked her, I said, what is the most important thing to you? Is it the date? Is that date? Because she really wants that date. Now, really wanting something and it being the most important thing is two separate things. And so finally she told me, she goes, Saundra, I want to get married where we're having it, which is her own private home. And she said, and I want to get married this year. So I said, great. So if it doesn't work out that we have to switch the date a little bit, I don't know if we do yet, but now I know we have flexibility with that we can make happen. Will it happen exactly the way that she had thought that it could happen 2 months ago? Maybe not, but it could still happen to the best of our ability and to make it work. I think some things that are going to be different for events as we move forward. I see buffets being a real situation because unless you have a venue that has a sneeze guard, these open buffets like you see in Pinterest is so beautiful. We just did one in December. It was so great. There was food styling and it was just beautiful, and the dessert table and everything. I think that we may see pulling that back a little bit. Hugging a lot. Just for a while, not forever, just for now, to slow this ridiculous virus down. I encourage you to make a list of your most important things and go from there, because I think when you're really pressed up against the wall, your list may be different now than it was months ago, right? I encourage you to allow yourself to feel all the feels that you want to feel. That's a lot of feels in one sentence. What I mean by that is it's okay to be sad. It's okay to be sad that you had to move your wedding. It's okay to be sad that your grandmother may not be able to attend because of travel restrictions. It's okay to feel all of that, even with people losing their jobs. And there's people losing their lives and loved ones and friends and so forth. There's also 80 to 85% of people that are catching this and they're recovering from it just fine. So there's always a positive to that negative spin, but it's okay to feel that. What's not okay is for you to wallow too much into it because then you're not being productive, right? So for me, if I don't have control over something, like in a good way, I mean, this is all out of control. I can only control myself. So what I do is I try to do something productive. And trust me, I already had my little meltdown. I didn't cry, but it was 2 o'clock in the afternoon. I think it was last Tuesday or Wednesday in the middle of the week. And I closed my curtains, got in my recliner with my dog, and watched Netflix in the middle of the day. I had had it. I shut my computer, my phone on airplane mode, and I was done. I didn't want to hear any news. I didn't want to talk to anybody. I just wanted to sit there and watch something that was kind of mind numbing. And I had my moment. But now, like over the weekend, I decided I do spring cleaning and I thoroughly cleaned my house and disinfected, which usually isn't a big thing for me necessarily. Not that I'm germy, but I moved furniture and vacuumed underneath. You moved the fridge. I dusted. I took down all of our curtains and washed them and put them back up. I washed down the walls. I did not know. Well, I do know. I do it once a year, but how dirty things get around your foot level because I have a dog and the dog shakes. So there's dirt. I did all of this stuff and I cleaned my office. And it made me feel so good to be productive. My house smells amazing. I can eat off of any surface, maybe not the floor, but because it's raining, the dog keeps bringing in dirt. But I feel so productive. So my next step is I made a list of things that I want to get done that I've been meaning to. One of them is learning how to use my Cricut. I've had a Cricut for 2 years. I really have not used it. I never had the time to do it. So I'm going to use this time to socially distance myself and get some projects done. I'm going to update my portfolios because I know after this will move on and people will plan their weddings. It may be different. It may not be extravagant. But we've gone through that at the recession. I still had extravagant weddings during the recession. What they did was they asked for us not to publicize it anywhere because I think they didn't want to show people that they had money put aside, significant money, to have a really nice wedding that, cost some money. So anyway, do something. I don't care what it is. For some people, still planning your wedding or looking at Pinterest and things like that is not going to make you feel good, right? I'm talking too long. It's really getting to the 17-minute mark. I didn't really mean to. But if you are, if that makes you sad, then don't do that. Then do something else. Read a book, whatever floats your boat. And finally, my last tip really has nothing to do with weddings, but I really admonish you to find a source of information that you trust. I'm not going to judge you, whatever it is, okay? You find that source, and then you listen to what's going on about the pandemic, about the coronavirus, but you limit it. If you're not feeling in a good mood or the right state of mind, then get off social media, limit your information. When you're ready to listen to it, like the sun is shining yesterday and I was getting going, I listened to 2 podcasts about the coronavirus, truly trying to understand how it's really spread so I could be informed. That didn't bother me because I was in a good mood. But if I'm in a down mood, I'm limiting that negative news media. Love the news, have lots of friends in the news, in both paper, or print, and on TV and radio. But we need to breathe. Take a big deep breath. And of course, we're going to get through this. I mean, the only other option is not an option I'm willing to consider. So, but how we do it, pull together as a community, for Pete's sake, do this social distancing so we can get on with this. I hope this helped. Sorry, it was a little bit lengthy, but hey, my website's planningforever.com. I am offering free chats while I'm in the office, if Skyping, to give some hints to people. I want to be able to be there for someone if they need it. So thanks a lot for listening. Have a great day, you guys. Stay safe, stay healthy.